final home game of the regular season for Austin Huns Elite, taking on Hark Houston Athletic Rugby Club alongside Grant Colheim, Kit McConico, and Grant. The Huns, well, their first place in the Red River Rugby Championship, 15 Championship Division 1. A win today will secure the title and give them a berth in the national playoffs.
Yes, that's right. A win or a loss with a bonus point will secure them that title, and so either way. But they've got their best. They've got their best team, their elite team on the field against Hark today to ensure they get that win. They definitely would like to see Ombak in the regional semifinals instead of Gate. Gates, it's going to be easy for them to beat Gate if they beat Ombak first.
Huns coming off a great victory last week over on Burr Lane, taking on their inner-city rivals, the Austin Blacks. Huns got the victory 31-30, and they sweep the season series against the Blacks. What a win it was. Gieman, he put the knife in the chest, nailing the conversion from the Huns 8-man. Manar had the try. Huns ultimately coming away with the victory. But as you said, they are starting their elite side today. They are resting a few players. Their captain, Lamani Tongo, not out there. And today's captain will be their loosehead prop, Tim Fitzgerald. Timothy Gieman, the fly half, the vice captain. But they need the win today. They're playing a very good side. I spoke with Coach Eloff earlier, and he said, we're not worried about any other match. We're not worried about the playoffs. We're worried about today. First and foremost, we want the victory, and then we want our guys to go into the playoffs healthy.
That's correct. And we just saw Jim Rogers get a quick whistle on leaving their feet out in Houston, leaving their feet at the ruck. That's something you're going to see from Jim a lot today. He's definitely not going to want to see anybody get lazy and leave their feet either early in the game or late when people get tired. So we'll see a lot of that if they're going to stay off their feet. He's already talked to both teams about it, and the first penalty of the game being an off-the-feet penalty is not a surprise.
Jim Rogers, our referee, the national panel referee. Ivan Lepidou and Greg Varnell assisting him. Huns going from left to right. HP Moore looking for the first try early for the Huns. The visitors from Houston defending, going from right to left. Gieman outside, found his target, going through. Bonilla and the outside center able to dot it down. The Huns strike first.
Giovanni Bonilla there with a nice little angle back to the inside. Caught Hark's defense moving to the outside too fast, and they just couldn't adjust into the gap quick enough. Bonilla with a nice little pass from Gieman for the executed try between the posts.
Giovanni Bonilla getting the start for Martin Knetza. Knetza on the bench for this match in the reserves if the Huns need him. Talk about a few changes. Aaron Bone will start at scrum half. Fly half, well, it's the man we've seen all year with the great boot, Gieman, and he will make the easy conversion, is able to put it through, and the Huns lead 7-0 early on.
And so in the Huns forwards, we've got Tim Fitzgerald is at loosehead prop as the captain, Troy Spencer at hooker, Robert Drummond at tight head. Corey Momsen gets his first start of the year at lock with Rui Dori Branco, the Portuguese national player, at number 5 with him. HP Moore and David Lemasters make up the flanks, and Phil Kankles Hansen comes in at 8-man.
I actually believe they're starting Manar. That was the one change they made, is the South African Manar, the former Tyler Junior College man, the great sevens player, starting in place there of Kankles, as you mentioned. You look at the rest. Fly half Gieman, the inside center. Jody Reyes, outside center. Just saw Giovanni Bonilla. The wings, the right wing, Maui Francis. The left wing, Justin Hale. And the fullback, Andrew Heller. Visitors from Houston with their first chance. The white tops, navy shorts. Is Hark. The second meeting of the year between these two. Hark took the first. The Huns played a Division II side, hoping they were going to be able to get the victory with the D2 side. They were not. They are not making that mistake here today. Gieman, Dori Branco, the native of Porto, Portugal, almost 30 caps for his national team. Reyes to Moore, the speedster. Moore, a nice stiff arm. Moore.
And that's going to be a dangerous tackle called on Houston there. Frank Buchanan grabbing Moore by the hair and pulling him down. That's definitely a dangerous tackle. He's lucky to get away with just a penalty there.
Bringing Moore down by the dreadlocks at the halfway line.
And if he didn't bring Moore down there, I don't think he was going to have a chance. Moore was going to be away, and all that's going to be between Moore and the try line was Brett Fearing, who is probably less than half Moore's size.
The 20-year-old Frenchman, the fly half, Gieman kicks for touch. They will bring in the It'll actually be their open side flanker, David Lemasters, the youngster from just north of Austin in Round Rock, will take the line out.
So, yeah, Lemasters is a hooker by trade, so he's being very good learning from Malcolm at the throw-in, which is no surprise to see him doing the throw-in today. It's something he's got to get good at for the Huns to have some depth there in the playoffs.
Manar, Bone in the hands of Moore. Moore, the speedster, only 3 years experience playing rugby, but he is a force, the 26-year-old from Louisiana. Ball on the turf, and the whistle.
Little miscommunication there, but it's no big deal because Houston was offsides already, so the quick tap's taken by Bonilla.
Tori Branco.
Dore Branco, Jody Reyes loses that forward in the tackle, and Houston's going to get a scrum here, and this is going to be interesting to see how Houston matches up against the Huns in this first scrum.
So Hark Houston Athletic Rugby Club, formed back in 1998, the merger of the Houston Hurricanes, Houston Rugby Football Club, and Houston Old Boys Rugby Football Club. And the scrum to the visitors. Bachelor, the scrum half, puts it in, takes it. A little kick over the top, fielded by Hale. Hale has it for the Huns. Hale shows his speed. Hale cuts outside. Hale back inside. Nobody's going to catch him. Hale between the post and down for the try.
Justin Hale was a speedster in college. He's a speedster still. The guy's a great graphic artist as well. And, you know, just love to see him get on his first touch of the game, get a step through the middle and make a solo try between the post. Giga Maggie's Justin Hale.
The 29-year-old left wing, native of Dallas. 10 years a veteran, and yes, a former Fighting Texas A&M Aggie. I actually spoke with him before that, and he laughed and said, I guarantee you the first time I touch the ball, Grant will bring up the fact that I'm a former Aggie. And I laughed and said, you know it.
Well, love my Aggies, and Justin's done a lot of work for A&M as well. He at A&M, he lives in College Station with his girlfriend, and he helps the A&M Touch Rugby Club as well there. So when he's not here during the week, he's playing touch rugby there.
Another easy conversion game, and 2 of 2 in the conversions, and a quick 14-0 lead for the Huns early on. Again, a win today locks up the #1 seed in the Red River, and they book their spot in the playoffs, and they can start turning their head. Well, as you mentioned, probably that on-back side from San Diego, who they'll be taking on in the first round. And it's going to be a quick turnaround in the playoffs. They're going to have 2 games in 24 hours. Coach Laffey said it's a concern. We want to rest guys today, some of the starters, some of the big guys. We see Brayton Bach, Wellborn, Tongo over to our side, guys who aren't going to play today because they're looking ahead to those playoffs.
Yeah, and then they definitely want to make sure that they have that depth ready. They're well rested going in. This is going to be a tough playoff year for anybody, especially the Huns. They've got a really good thing going here. They've got a lot of cohesion going, but they're going to need that and more in this playoffs.
Hale unable to get to it, and that'll find itself into touch. Grant, one thing we haven't mentioned today is the weather. It is 91 degrees, mostly cloudy, but the humidity, almost 70%. It is hot and humid. Well, for the Houstonians, this is what they're used to. For the Austinites, not so much.
Yeah, in Houston, this is just everyday weather, but here in Austin, they're wondering where the sea is right now. So, yeah, it's a little bit warm here. Hey, got to give a shout-out to the Cy-Fair Warriors Rugby. They played a quarterfinal today against Allen Eagles at Rice University, and they won the match 50-7. Strong work there. Petey Hepburn and the Cy-Fair Warriors.
And on cue, the inside center for HARC, Enrique Montano, the former Cy-Fair man with the offload. He was asking you about that scoreline before his game got underway. We will have the high school state championships coming up very soon. That'll be held right here.
Right here next weekend.
Huns Field, Nixon Lane. So, hey, book your travel arrangements right now. Come out here, support high school rugby in the Lone Star State. Anticipate some great matchups here at Huns Field.
Yeah, so right now the quarterfinals are going on all over the state. I'll bring you the scores as I get them. Last night, the Dallas Quinns Colts, defeated St. Pius X High School out of Houston.
St. Pius the 10th.
St. Pius the 10th out of Houston. They beat them 19-17, came back to win. St. Pius had them on the ropes in the first half, and then in the second half it was all the Quinns Colts. Again, we've had Cy-Fair win, and so we're looking for scores from Westlake and Katy and for scores from Woodlands and Lake Travis.
Well, that is going to be a big-time matchup. The Cavaliers and the Highlanders, Woodlands and Lake Travis. Going to take a look at the starters for Hark. What stands out to you in their starting 15?
So in starting 15, Hark's doing what they normally do in the forwards. You've got Rob Rutherford, Zach Flowerman, and Justin Amato making up the front row. Justin Amato, solid player all around. Spencer Wheat, the grand old man. I mean, this guy's been playing forever.
45 years young.
45 years young, still rides his little cafe racer all around town. He's a Chevron executive and an eligible bachelor, ladies.
And we'll be talking more about Spencer Wheat. He gave me a great piece of information earlier on. You mentioned Amato, the tight head prop. He is the captain today for Hark. Look at that second line. Wheat, the number 4 lock. Max Irwin, the number 5. And you've got the flankers, open side Johnny Ray, and the blind side Matt Inman. Montano couldn't hold on to it. Picked up by, well, the number 8 man, Craig Whitlock, the South African. Whitlock, you and I spoke with him before this match. He looks like he's been chiseled out of a piece of granite.
Well, he's had to play the hard yards on the veldt in South Africa at I think he called it Neospread or something. I can't remember the name of that. But anyway, I'm going to get that name wrong, and Dallin's going to make fun of me for it. But yeah, he's done 3 years down there in South Africa playing, and then he moved here to the States, and he's definitely looks like he's been running the hard yards there on the veldt.
Byron Batchelor, scrum half to put it in. Julian Nunn is the fly half. Inside center, Enrique Montano. Outside center, Ernesto Turk. Fullback is Brett Fearing. The wings left, Matthew Tyrell, and right, Frank Buchanan.
Yeah, and then rounding out the back line, the tight 5 is Max Irwin at 5, Matt Inman at 6, Johnny Ray at 7, and as you said, Craig Whitlock at 8. Talked about the Huns earlier. Who do you think is going to stand out today, Kit?
Well, that's a great question. Obviously, you look at Fitzgerald, what he's always able to do, the captain, the loose head prop. Manar, he had that the winning try, I should say, in their victory last week over the Blacks and their intercity rivals. Gieman, he's always a force with his foot, but I'd keep an eye on those centers. We've already seen Bonilla, the outside center, with one, and Jody Reyes, very underrated in my estimation.
Yeah, and they're definitely putting their hand up today.
They are indeed.
Penalty here. Not releasing the tackle. This is something Jim Rogers definitely is going to talk about, and Jody Reyes should have got that release faster. I think a little bit more and discipline is going to be expected of the Huns at the breakdown than of Hark, and the Huns are definitely going to have to show it to Rogers that they've got it.
Well, I mentioned the keys when I spoke with Coach Eugene Loffey, and Coach Eloff said, well, we've got to win. It doesn't matter how it happens. We've got to get to victory, and then we try to keep guys healthy for the playoffs. Speaking with Hark and their head coach, Panama, Mike Maxwell, he said it's 2 things. We've got to keep the ball moving, and it's defense. We've got to play good defense. We know this is a very talented Huns side, and already trailing 14-0. Maybe not the way Hark drew it up. Outside Huns over the 22-meter, bowling ahead. Manar, the South African.
I'm telling you what, you don't see Justin Amato get run over much.
Outside, Gieman, Dori Branco. Dori Branco, one of the more interesting men you will ever meet. Mentioned his time with his national team there in Portugal. Also a agricultural PhD student in vet medicine at Texas A&M University. Spinning it outside. Manar has it, some room. Over the top to Hale. Hale with room. Manar taken down, and Hale just short of the halfway line. Great look from the 8-man. Gaiman into the hands of Fitzgerald. Shows off his ability in the open field. Bone quickly. Good faces here from the Huns making meters. Reyes spins and lost it.
Can't just bump Jody Reyes. You've got to actually wrap up to take him down. Justin Amato's learning that the hard way right now. It's not an easy shoulder to take when you're not wrapping up.
Reyes tried to hold on to it with one hand, was unable to secure it. It'll be scrum to Hark. Hark, 2 men's sides, have a women's team as well. They're in Space City. You know, I've had the opportunity of seeing their women's team a few times. Always a joy. Nick James and that side.
Nick James and Chelsea Pepper making up that front row.
There you go.
Nick James, one of the few props in the world that can chip kick over a fullback and beat the fullback to the ball.
That's saying something. And our official giving time to both teams, again, mentioned the heat and humidity. Temperature over 90 degrees Fahrenheit. The humidity close to 70%. It is hot and sticky. And Jim Rogers giving both teams the opportunity to get a bit of refreshment before we get back to it. Warm welcome to all of you, wherever you may be joining us from, across the state, across the country, across the world on the Austin Huns YouTube channel. Always pleased to have your company.
I tell you what, if this heat keeps up like this and when the Major League Rugby rolls around, they're definitely going to have covers over all these bleachers.
Well, we've been lucky. It's been a mild spring by our standards here in Central Texas, but summer, you can feel it. It is around the corner.
It got up to 80 fast in Houston, so I think we saw our first 85-degree day the last day of January.
Earlier this week in Austin, we had 50 degrees, and then 48 hours later, it was 90 degrees.
Yep, we've got four seasons here in Texas?
Yes, sir.
December, January, February, and summer.
That's right. Scrum to Hark.
Taken against the head by the Huns.
Bone able to come up with it. Gieman, nice little step around Montano. Over to Bonilla, already has a try, had the first one of the match. Bonilla going forward, offloads. Menard, nice little step around and in with the try. It is all Huns early on. That one courtesy of their 8-man, Dion Menard.
Anybody who wants to be a flanker, an 8-man, needs to look at what Dion Menard did on that play. He was right close in on the hip of Bonilla as Bonilla made the gain line, broke the gain line, and went through. When you're in that position, you can be right in the pocket, so it's an easy offload, just like Bonilla made there. Doesn't have to push it out too much. It's not a 50-50 pass, and it puts Menard away in between the posts.
The 25-year-old native of Pretoria, South Africa. Mentioned his prowess in sevens, and you can see it right there. He's a big man at 6'4", 230, but when he gets the ball in the open field, very quick, very elusive, and difficult to bring down.
And the other thing I like about Menard is he's very versatile around the field, not just in the mode of play, but he also knows when to drop back into the back three quickly. He gets back there and he can feel those kicks. And he's definitely, when you've got a back three, when you get a big 8-man like that can drop into the back three and pull off all the Pierre Speed stuff that he pulls off, then you've got danger. You don't want to be kicking downfield like that.
Gieman with the conversion. He is 3 of 3 from the boot, and a quick 21-0 Huns lead here in the first half. If you're just joining us, it was the outside center and Giovanni Bonilla who started things off. Then the left wing, Justin Hale, scampering through the defense of Hark. And then just moments ago, Dion Menard, a beautiful run of his own. And it has been all Huns early. Montano sends it back to the Austin Huns, fielded by the Frenchman. Gieman, and a little kick over the top. Will it stay in play? No, finds itself in touch.
Fortunately, Gieman was behind the 22 when he caught it, and Jody Reyes was still behind the 22 when he kicked it. So that is not going out on the full. It is going out where it went in, and Hark has a line out just inside the midfield mark.
Graham, take a quick look at the reserves for both of these teams. First for the Huns.
So for the Huns, we got Peter Malcolm, Mason Pedersen, Kyle Breitenbach, Brian Welburn, Michael Reed, Martin Canetza, and Chris Nelson. I don't think we're going to see all of those today. I'm pretty sure the Huns want to see what this crew on the field has for 80 minutes as much as possible, and we may see some substitutions if there are injuries. However, for Hark, we've got Andy Lutz. Tony Jean. Tony Jean is, he is the 28-year-old Morgan Freeman lookalike. When you see him come out there, you'll know. And Thomas Cuff, Sean
Tony's
Knight,
shaking his head. He overheard that one.
Henri said a wing.
(21-0) Huns here, the final home game of the regular season at Huns Field on Nixon Lane here in the capital city.
Tell you something about Tony Jean. If he ever asks you to go to a rave with him, you better be ready to go hard with 50 belly dancers because it's going to be something else.
I don't even know how to respond to that. You never know what you're going to get in one of these broadcasts alongside the incomparable Grant Cole. I'm Kit McConico, and thank you as always. We be scrum to Hark on the far side, just outside the 10-meter line. Those keys for Hark, defense and keep the ball moving so far. Well, their defense hasn't been able to stand up, and they haven't had the ball very often, so they haven't been able to keep it moving. Outside to the speedster Hale. Hale still with it, cuts back in. Hale on his feet. Almost to the 10-meter line. Back to Gaiman. Cuts through, finds a nice little offload. Gaiman. Outside. Francis.
Strong work by Ernesto Turk there. You know, he's been strong in the midfield for Houston all year. He's definitely been a great defender and also great at the breakdown in jackling that ball, just like he did right here with Francis. Francis was trying to get it back. Turk, with the presence of mind to grab onto it, bring it back towards his side, gained a penalty.
Montaño kicks for touch, and the line out will be for Hark, but first it'll be another quick water break. You see Lomani Tongo out there acting as the water boy, getting a well-deserved break. The Huns captain, everything he's been able to do this year, he's been a force on both sides of the ball.
I got to tell you, some of the hardest hits we've seen this year have come when Lomani Tongo and Levi Coretti have lined up. And then last weekend, Tongo and Atamalifa. I mean, that was some brutal hits there in the midfield. Hanko Hammerschweiss and Malifa going at it back and forth all day. You know, they're former teammates, so they had a lot of fun. So really saw some great physical rugby out here this year with the Huns, and hopefully we get to see a lot more of the same today.
Well, the Huns captain, Lomani Money Tongo, acting as the water boy. Their vice captain, Hanko Hermschweiss, the USA Eagle, sporting a very fashionable look of shorts and cowboy boots. I commented to Hanko, I said, that's a trend. You're going to get that started. I can feel it.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't go for the Han Solo look that's so popular in the fall. Have you ever seen Han Solo season here in Austin?
I have. I have indeed. Line out to Hark. Their hooker, Zach Flowerman, to take it. They're looking for their 4-lock Wheat and their 5-lock Irwin. Irwin came off the hands of Wheat, couldn't control it.
And Wheat didn't get a very good jump on that there. His lifters definitely didn't have the timing down. And perhaps if they would have been right on time and in sync with each other, that would have been a catch, and we've been seeing some play going down the field here.
Wheat, his rugby family, his daughter, his son, both play there in the high school ranks in Houston.
Yeah, Fisher plays for Lamar, and so does his daughter plays for the conglomerate team there in South Houston. And Spencer gives of his time to the Lamar team, and as well as everything else. He just about does everything outside of rugby and work for his kids. He doesn't have a whole lot of time for much else.
Scrum to the Huns, but Bone unable to put it in.
Flowerman's definitely trying to take against the head all day, and that's not something the Huns are used to, especially putting Troy at hooker. Troy's not a true hooker. He's a true prop. So most of the time you're just going to see them push 8-1 over the ball and take that ball down the one channel as Bone puts it in.
A little interesting, you mentioned that Troy Spencer starting hooker, David Lemasters, who is a true hooker, starting at the outside, at the open side flanker.
Yeah, and Lemasters is becoming a versatile player, and that's one of the reasons you're seeing him there at that position. Oh, he'll let you take over from here.
And Turk had that one. He couldn't control it. An opportunity there to pinch one and head the other way. Huns lead 21-0. Oh, Fitzgerald, a hard tackle. A native of Sydney, Australia, slow to his feet.
Yeah, Turk and Fitzgerald coming together. That was a collision there. Fortunately, it was a forward pass for Hark and for off the Huns, and Hark's going to get another scrum here.
It's been all Huns so far. Tries courtesy of Bonilla, Hale, and Manar.
Yeah, Ernesto Turk was definitely a shining light in the Hark's first match against the Blacks this year. He provided a lot of defensive structure and defensive hard physicality in the midfield that stopped the Blacks on so many occasions. So they just had a hard time getting it together that match. They did win the match, but it wasn't what you expect of the Blacks really. And you definitely the Huns or the Hark had their best defensive game of the season.
It has been very tight this year in the Red River Rugby Conference as Manar finds himself with it. Already has a try, looking for another. Offload to Bone. Bone able to stay on his feet momentarily. Huns looking to get it wide. Bone finds a gap, and he is off to the races.
And Aaron Bone will snipe the post every time you leave it open, and Hark cannot leave the pillar and post open on somebody like Aaron Bone. That's a pit bull in a rat terrier's body, and he runs like a greyhound.
Bone, the young scrum half, says, I'll take that, thank you very much. Found the hole right through the heart of the Hark defense and right between the posts as he dots it down for the fourth Huns try. And still first half.
Still first half, yeah. Bonus point try on. So this actually, right now, the Huns are in first place, and they're going to stay there with that try right there.
They've locked up Red River #1 seed in the Red River Rugby Conference. They have secured their berth in the national playoffs, so congratulations to the Huns.
They don't even give the Blacks and Reds a chance to get the ball kicked off, do they?
No, that was a big match. Coach Laffey talking about that one. He said that was really had some implications, but he also said we're not worried about that. We're worried about our match on our field and what we're going to do, and that's certainly been the case. No trouble with the conversion from Geeman.
And that match is just taking place about 3 miles away from here.
They're over at Burr Field, home of the Austin Blacks. So Geeman, the 20-year-old from Berny, France, 4 of 4 with the conversions. And the Huns, 28-0, 4 different try scores.
4 different try scores for the Huns today. Great show from them. Only one of them from their forwards, interestingly enough. So, you know, if you look at a lot of the matches we've called this year, their forwards have been scoring a lot of tries. This game's coming a lot from their back, so you know Donnie DeVilliers has got to be happy with that.
Yeah, Donnie DeVilliers, the backline attack coach, mentioned Eugene Eloff, better known as Laffey, their head coach. Pedri Vandenberg, their forward and defense coach. He's got to be very happy with what he's seen. And the combination of those 3 South Africans, so much experience, both as players and coaches, and we've really seen it this year. You mentioned it to me in our pregame. The Huns, they've gotten better every game. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, and that is all you can ask for. And they definitely need to make sure they stay on their feet at the breakdown. As I said earlier in the game, Rogers is going to ding him fast and hard on that one. And here they are right in Enrique Montano's range in front of the post with a little bit of wind at his back. This should be an easy one from Montano. Something to note. Thomas Cuff has already come on for the Hark, and Craig Whitlock's off, and it looks like Whitlock's got a bit of a limp going on. So, interesting there.
Keep an eye on that. They're number 8, Whitlock, South African, off, and now a chance for Hark to get on the board for the first time today. Their inside center, the 20-year-old Enrique Montano, from straight ahead, just about 25 meters out, and the slight wind at his back. Montano at the kick. Splits the post, no trouble whatsoever. And Houston Athletic Rugby Club is on the board.
28-3, still in favor of the Huns, and Hark definitely has to be happy about that. Montano going to be happy today. His team has already won in one phase or the other, so and he was definitely rooting for them playing there at Rice University. And if you can believe it, Montano was actually one of these smaller guys on that team when he was playing.
It may have been a while ago. I asked Montano, I said, what do you weigh these days? He goes, how about you say 245 for the broadcast? I like that response.
Yeah, okay.
Enrique, I'll say whatever you want. 245 it is.
Thomas Cuff with a little bit of trouble there retrieving the kick, but he gets it, takes it to 22.
Huns looking to get it back and get back to work after conceding their first points here in the first half, but still leading 28-3. Hark, maybe a bit of momentum. Their fly half, none, taken down on the other side of the 22. Oh, good tackle there. Bonilla right there for the Huns. and crunched by Reyes. Turk brought down by LeMasters. LeMasters quickly up and in on the second tackle. Mentioned David LeMasters, one of the twin LeMasters brothers on this side, both local products, very impressive young men from Stony Point High School, Rock Rugby. Hark deep in their own end, and Montano wisely puts boot to ball and sends it the other way.
There's already 5 Huns back in the backfield waiting for that.
Guillermin with the reception at the halfway line, over the top, maybe overcooked it a bit. That'll find itself out into touch.
Guillermin with the sharpshooter there. I tell you what, it's like he's got a scope on his leg.
So good in those situations. His grubber kicks are on point. We've seen so many this year that have just they've bounced right into a teammate's on rushing arms and in for the try.
His grubber kicks are lethal. When I see those coming, you know that's 5 points in the works.
And the Guillermin, the former French national team under 16 and under 18 player. Line out taken nicely by Hark, trying to get it wide. They've got a little space, but electing to keep it there in the heart. Montano again sends it out into the stands on the far side, over to, appropriately enough, the Huns coaches.
Yeah, yeah. So Montano's touch finder, definitely what Hark needed that moment, but I think they may have won that one back and probably tried to kick it downfield a little bit. This is we've seen Huns inside the 22 with their lineouts be extremely lethal this year, and this is usually try-time territory for them.
Well, Coach Laffey said, he goes, not only do we want to win, we want to play entertaining, try-scoring rugby, because there are a lot of people here in the Austin area, Central Texas, that are new to rugby. We want them to get excited. We want them to come out, and that's what they've done this year. The buzz all over the capital city about the Austin Huns. Their impact has been incredible. Huns with it. Shy of that try line, looking for their 5th. Find a little space over to the far side.
Aaron Bone with his 2nd.
And Bone has it.
Again, that post wasn't set. Bone saw it, and so did Jim Rogers. Jim got around to that side quickly, kind of read Bone's mind. It was right there on top of him when Bone dotted down.
The Bone, the scrum half with back-to-back tries for the Huns. The only Hun player with
2 today.
A pair. And this will be more difficult on the conversion for Guillermin. A pair of tries for Bone, as he had the last 2 in a row. Now Guillermin, the Frenchman, on the far side, the vice captain, the most difficult of his conversions so far. Both teams taking the opportunity to get some water. We've had frequent water breaks here in the first half because of the weather. Well, Mani Tongo still menacing, even with the hat not in his shorts and cleats. Still looks the part.
So I want to give a shout out here to my guys on Reddit. Aaron Castro Slater, he's over in Arizona. Nick Henry in Richmond, Texas, and then Dan Brown, who is up in New York. They always keep up with me. We have a lot of chats on Reddit about the Major League Rugby guys. So thank y'all for watching today. Thank y'all for making sure and keeping me straight on anything as we go through, and not flaying me too much.
And following that, we welcome you again wherever you may be joining us from. We know we've got people across the country, across the world. Got people in the Southern Hemisphere, Europe, watching the Huns, and it's been a pleasure to bring you these matches live from Austin, Texas all year long. We thank you for your support. Rugby, the fastest growing team sport in the country here in the USA.
Dee Perry in Houston today, she's watching her son Maui play. She just got through watching her son Keone play today as well.
Maui Francis starting right wing for the Huns in this match. Over to Reyes. Reyes puts a boot to it, but finds itself out into the stands.
Wouldn't surprise me to see Maui's brother Keone playing here shortly after he graduates high school either. He is an All-American. He plays lock and flanker and 8-man for Cy-Fair, but at the All-Americans they have him playing hooker. At 6'1".
That's a versatile player.
Yeah, 6'1", almost 190 pounds. I mean, and he's fast too, but he's also very very agile, and so he can get around and make that hook easily.
Opportunity for a Hark in the hands of Batchelor. Scrum half wrapped up. Making meters the hard way. Straight ahead. Huns defense has been fantastic. Doing a great job stringing out Hark, not allowing any spaces.
Rogers seems to be allowing a lot of things to go on in this rug, but he's seen nothing that really gives any advantage to anybody yet, unfairly.
Jim Rogers, the national panel referee. He was supposed to be doing the collegiate game between BYU and Life West. Nice enough to join us here for this match. Rutherford, loose head prop over the 22.
Interesting call there, calling Bone for not rolling away, but he wasn't even there at the time. He got out of the way quickly. I'm not sure who was not rolling away on that penalty. Bone made a clean tackle at the ankles, which is, the kind of tackles he needs to be making on big men like that, and then he rolled away and got out of there, and then a few seconds later, Rogers is calling a penalty.
He said Bone was a pit bull in a rat terrier's body. I think you're exactly right about that. Underestimate him at your own peril.
Yeah, well, Houston's done that twice today. And look what it's got.
Pair tries for the scrum half of the Huns.
Wouldn't be surprised to see him get a hat trick off of that same move today.
Giamit. Fielded nicely by Tyrell. Over here, Turk cuts back in. Ernesto Turk, tough sledding. Hark looking potent offensively. Can they take advantage? Still have yet to score a try.
Johnny Ray coughs it up and knocks it on in contact, and that's going to be a Huns scrum here right in front of the 22. So the Huns won't be able to kick this one to touch without kicking it out on the full, so they're going to want to take it downfield, and they're going to be kicking into the wind. So he's either going to have to sharpshooter it, or they're just going to have to run it out. I would bet on running it out.
You've got the kind of speed they do. Why not?
Yeah.
Get it outside. Find Maui. Who knows?
Well, you know who they haven't used today is Heller. And Heller has been coming into the line several times, and they haven't actually used him. So I wonder if they're going to be looking for Maui to be used, and then instead of the skip pass, they put it right into Heller's hands and put him away.
Reyes. You mentioned Heller, the 25-year-old from Fort Worth, former St. Edward's University Hilltopper. He's come in as a sub a lot this year. I haven't seen him start, but a very impressive young talent. Hemet. Francis. Still fighting. Bone, Guillemot. Inside to the big Drummond, the tight head prop.
Hey, bartender.
That is an introduction I do not want to make. Reyes. Couldn't get his pass on target and picked up by Hark.
So that was forward pass by Hark and picked up by Johnny Ray there. It's going to be a scrum to Hark right on the 22. Good field position for Hark. And they're going to need to move that ball out quickly to actually do something with this and get it into the corner. And that's basically what I would do. Use Turk and Montano to get it into the corner and then put it away to Fearing or Cannon.
Now, they haven't had a lot of success against the Huns, keeping it central. The Huns defense just too tough, but maybe, as you mentioned, they can get it wide, take advantage of some of those speedsters, find a lane. So scrum to Hark, just shy of the 22-meter. Fans out enjoying themselves as always here at Huns Field on Nixon Lane, just east of downtown Austin. Beautiful facility that's seen so much work and renovation done this year alone. Montaño tried to kick it to himself, had it momentarily, couldn't secure it. Now Heller the other way. Outside, great look to Maui. Maui with some room. Able to get around Buchanan, cuts back. Maui over the halfway line. Nice run from Maui Francis. Huns looking dangerous. Bonilla. Huidori Branco. LeMasters. Guillermin takes it himself. Guillermin looking up into the hands of Menard. Menard upended. Back to Guillermin. Guillermin with some room. Offloads. Nope. Now finds more. And more over to Hale. And Hale will dot it down his second try of the game.
That was definitely a team try by the Huns. Went through a lot of hands going out. You know, I really want to give a shout out there to Maui Francis. He was very unselfish, took the mature track instead of going to the outside and isolating himself. He cut back, pulled the inside out, got the ball back into possession, maintained possession in the phase, and then let his teammates do the work. That's showing a lot of maturity from Maui Francis.
Well, that was a team try if there ever was one. He mentioned everybody getting a touch there. Menard, Huidori Branco, Guillermin, Reyes, Francis, of course, with his great work, more, and then finally Hale, the man to dot it down. But great unselfish team play from the Huns, and that's what we've seen from them all year. It's not about me or what my stats are. They don't care as long as they get the win.
Yeah, and that's what, you know, and that's one of the things you're seeing today. You know, Laffey talks about executing the basics. And one thing we're seeing from the Huns today is an execution of the basics. You don't see any 50-50 passes. You don't see anybody isolating themselves. When they get the breakaway, they have the breakaway. They don't. It's not a chancy thing. And if they think it's chancy, they're moving back to the inside. They're staying inside of a pattern, and they're not straying from it and being selfish. And that's really good play. It's how a team try comes around.
Ultimately, Hale with his second. He and Bone both with 2 for the Huns, and they just continue. Visitors from Houston, well, only 3 points they have, courtesy of the penalty from Montaño. Montaño sends it back. Momsen rises above, secures it nicely. Momsen, the big number 4 lock. Even lines it up, taken perfectly. All the way back to Fearing. Fearing, his pass off the mark, looking for Tyrell.
There's some physical play out there.
That's one thing that we knew we would be in store for. Huns always a physical, fast brand of rugby. And there is the whistle for the first half.
Aaron Bone didn't quite hear that first whistle, so he was continuing to play until he heard it, and he made a devastating tackle in a touch there. But, yeah, that's the first half.
Huns in control, and they have secured the number 1 seed in the Red River Rugby Conference, secured a spot in the playoffs. Huns all over Hark at the break. We'll have the second half coming up from Huns Field in Austin after this.
Co-signing?
Idle hands. They say they're the devil's workshop. But give idle hands a place to go, a purpose, and they're capable of amazing things.
I wished I could tell my daughter to go play outside, but every time she coughed or wheezed or suffered, it scared me, and weekly allergy shots were just as scary.
I used to start my day ready to take on the world, but every change in temperature or rain or wind triggered something in my head. Itchy, watery eyes, headaches. A buddy of mine said I had to go to Texan Allergy.
Drops from Texan Allergy are so easy, so simple.
Texan Allergy put the quality back in my quality time.
Texan Allergy, changing lives one drop at a time.
And all I've done for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So fail to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you.
Glasses up to my brother Jerry. May God be with him.
Today is the day I step up to the plate. I choose the right way, the harder way. Not for who I am now, but for who I will become. Rep by rep, I will conquer my pain. Step by step, I will push myself further, faster. I see where I want to go. I can feel my victory, and I know I can, and I will be more today than yesterday. So challenge yourself and keep pushing.
Halftime in Austin, Huns' final home game of the season, and Huns all over Hark. 40-3. Huns a pair of tries from their scrum half, Aaron Bone, also a pair from their left wing, Justin Hale. While the second half coming up after this, the Huns, well, they've secured the #1 seed in the Red River Rugby Conference, and they've secured their spot in the national playoffs. Second half in Huns rugby after this.
Co-signing. Oh, that was sexy.
Idle hands. They say they're the devil's workshop. But give idle hands a place to go, a purpose, and they're capable of amazing things.
I wished I could tell my daughter to go play outside, but every time she coughed or wheezed or suffered, it scared me, and weekly allergy shots were just as scary.
I used to start my day ready to take on the world, but every change in temperature or rain or wind triggered something in my head. Itchy, watery eyes, headaches. A buddy of mine said I had to go to Texan Allergy.
Drops from Texan Allergy are so easy, so simple.
Texan Allergy put the quality back in my quality time.
Texan Allergy, changing lives one drop at a time.
And all I've done for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me the parting glass. Good night and joy be with you.
Glasses up to my brother Jerry. May God be with him.
Today is the day I step up to the plate. I choose the right way, the harder way. Not for who I am now, but for who I will become. Rep by rep, I will conquer my pain. Step by step, I will push myself further, faster. I see where I want to go. I can feel my victory, and I know I can, and I will be more today than yesterday. So challenge yourself and keep pushing.
Start of the second half in Austin. Austin Huns on top of Houston Athletic Rugby Club 40-3. Huns took control early on. The lone points of the game for Hark came from the penalty kick from their outside center, or excuse me, their inside center, Enrique Montano, when it was a 28-3 game. But the Huns, they've now secured their spot in the playoffs, national playoff berth. They've also secured the #1 seed in the Red River Rugby Conference.
That's correct. And in the D2, the match about 3 miles from here is over, and the D2, the match basically between the Reds and the Blacks was going to decide who was going to be the D2 going forward in D2 to the playoffs in Tulsa. The Blacks won that 27-24. Solid match. And then in other Austin news, rugby news, Westlake secured their way to come to Huns Field next week.
Congratulations to the Shaps.
With a 41-12 win over the Katy Barbarians. Katy had a strong team this year, and I tell you what, the Westlake team is really rolling right now.
There you go. As an Austinite, that's what I want to hear. So did the Wellborns, former Westlake Chaparrals, both Brian and Craig. They'll be thrilled to hear that, the Huns players. And again, we welcome you back alongside Grant Cole. I'm Kit McConico. We get ready for the start of the second half here at a hot and humid Huns field, 90 degrees. There is a nice breeze going across the field from right to left, but the humidity, almost 70%. It has made things hot and sticky. Had numerous water breaks in the first half. Anticipate more in the second. Our officials again, Jim Rogers, assisted by Ivan Lapindu and Greg Varnell. So, Grant, the keys, well, for Hark, they said it was about keep the ball moving, and defense, how have they done in those two aspects?
Well, they've had a tough go of it on defense. Of course, this back line of theirs has not been cohesive this year, and so that's to be expected. But, you know, they haven't had a whole lot of possession, and when they have had possession, it's not been meaningful.
Hark, going from left to right here in the second half, takes the opening kick from the Huns. I asked Coach Laffey about this. He said, very simple, got to win. Keep our guys healthy. That's what it is. No more to it.
And this is something I think Houston needs to do more of, the pick and jams. Their forwards are big. Their forwards are powerful in the hips, and they can drive their hips through the tackle real well. And if they would pick and jam more, I think they'd get that defense crunched up in there and be able to create an overload on the outside that'll be meaningful.
Hale finds himself with it. The speedster had a pair of tries in the first half. The Huns left wing, as did their scrum half, Aaron Bone. They started things off. If you're just joining us, it was the outside center, Giovanni Bonilla, who started things. Then Hale, followed up by the 8-man, Dion Menard.
There's that lethal.
And a pair for Bone. And then they finished things up with another from Hale.
And you know what I see on the field? I see my favorite Hun. Philip Kankles Hansen has come into the game for someone, looks like. I can't tell who, but he has come into the match, and that is a wonderful thing. I'm happy about
Grant,
that.
You're always happy to see Philip Hansen on the pitch. You've got to let our viewers know why you refer to him as Kankles.
Well, I mean, come on, you just have to look at those ankles of his to know that they're not really ankles, they're Kankles.
I don't know if that's a compliment or not. We'll have to ask Phil. Out of bounds, and The lineout will be to the Huns.
So looking at it, looks like Phil came in at prop. No? Can't tell where Phil came in at. Yeah, he came in for Troy Spencer. So I don't know who's moved to hooker, if Phil's moved to hooker, but he's come in for Troy Spencer.
Spencer started things off as the hooker, and Fitzgerald the loose head, Drummond the tight head props. While Masters the sometime hooker and flanker. Takes it in and out of the hands. Drummond couldn't secure it. It was too tall for Dori Branco. Busy day of rugby here in the capital city. Big busy day in the state of Texas. First of two matches we have coming up today.
Yes. And then, you know, it's Huns versus Hark right now, and the Huns have put off their elite side against Hark because it was a must-win game today, and they put off a D2 side against the Tourists, the Richmond team, because the Richmond game is just a touring side, and it's not Richmond's first side.
Richmond Football Club, the second oldest rugby club in the entire world, founded back in 1861. They're making their tour over from London. They took on Dallas. Got the victory, and now we'll take on the Huns. That finds itself in the hands of Reyes and says, look what I found, thank you very much, and deposits it neatly down for the try. Does Jody Reyes, his first of the match.
Giovanna Bonilla, though, with a great angle off of Timothy Gieman here, and cuts back to the inside, takes on Fearing, looks for the offload to Reyes or Menard, both of whom were there. Reyes got to the ball first and took it towards center.
I must say I've been very impressed with the center pairing today for the Huns between Reyes and Bonilla. Bonilla with the first try, and now Reyes with the most recent. Salutes his teammates over on the bench. Another, well, what you would think would be a very routine conversion coming up for Guillemot.
I just love watching a midfield that can come back and execute that inside angle coming back in, and then split the defense with it. It is a beautiful thing to watch when it comes off right.
Guillemot, no trouble whatsoever. He is now 6 of 7 in conversion kicks today, the Frenchman. And that makes it 47-3 Huns early in the 4th minute. Just 4 minutes into the second half, I should say. You mentioned early in the first half, Grant, you didn't anticipate substitutions for the Huns unless they were due to injury. You still think that'll be the case, even with the...
Say again there?
I was just saying that you didn't anticipate substitutions for the Huns. You still think that'll be the case unless you said injuries maybe, but certainly not because...
I just don't see it happen. The guys they have on the bench, they want to rest for playoffs. These guys they've had a hard season. They've had a really hard April with, you know, the three, it's been Utah, Reds, Glendale, Blacks, you know, so that's a tough 4 weeks in a row right there. So they do need to take a little time off before the playoffs, get rested, get strong again, and get ready to take on Back and Gate.
I got that big victory over Utah here at home to start things off. The Beehive Staters making the trip down, and then a tough loss to Glendale, a very good Glendale side.
Definitely was a very good Glendale side. You know, one thing, I don't see Glendale in the D1 championships this year, or else I would say they'd probably taken it easy all the way through. Do say Nyack's looking really well, and they may have the spread, but I think some others want to have something to say about that.
Twinkle toes. Reyes picks it up with the whistle.
It did come forward out of HP's hands there in the tackle. Fearing a little slow to get up. Again, we said earlier, Moore's definitely got the size advantage on him there, because that's not Fearing, that's Tyrell. Either way, you know, Moore's definitely got the size advantage on either of them there.
When you look at Moore, just 26 years old, the two-time USA Rugby All-American, honorable mention in college. It's one of very few Division III college rugby players to play at a professional level. He's only been playing for 3 years. I mean, the sky's the limit for HP Moore.
Oh, yeah, and players like him, you're going to have all kinds of opportunity. What they're going to need to do is find themselves some really solid technical coaches. They've got all the athleticism in the world that they need. Find them a really good technical coach, somebody who's going to dedicate making sure they're going to put in the time on the basics, and then they can really do good things here.
Well, he's trying to find time between his part-time modeling job for the Huns clothing line as well. He's got a lot on his plate.
Huns are getting dinged here for pulling down in the scrum. And it's not going to go to touch, though.
Fielded by Bone just on his side of the halfway line. Back to Heller. Heller, too tall, but Hale there. He was looking initially for Bonilla. Oh. And here comes Hale. Hale, you're not going to catch him. And Hale right between dots it down, the hat trick for Justin Hale.
Hale picks up the loose pass, gives a little stutter step, explodes through the gap, and then there's nobody in the backfield for Hark to stop him. Everybody was up on the defensive line. It was try time all day, and Justin Hale gets his hat trick today.
Native of Dallas, the 2nd, 6th, and now the 8th try of the match for the Huns. For, yes, Grant, your former Texas A&M Fighting Aggie. Figured I'd beat you to it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate somebody from Austin mentioning that. It's almost like we get a win every time.
Given.
You're never going to say that again, are you?
First, well, not the first, but that'll be certainly the last, as Guillermin, no trouble there, splits the uprights with the conversion. And now, early into the 8th minute of the second half, Huns on top, 52-3. 54 with the conversion, excuse me.
Well, what strikes me by looking at the Huns now is they don't even look tired. They've had a lot of running they've done in this match, and they don't even look tired yet.
You're exactly right. And the Huns, they're in absolutely fantastic shape, and to that you've got to credit their strength and conditioning coach, James DeLacy. He's done a great job. This entire coaching staff that they brought in from South Africa this year, they've really they brought things up so not one level but so many levels. The professionalism on and off the pitch. These guys, this is a job. They take it seriously. They train seriously. They take care of their bodies, and we've seen that. You told me when we first started working together, so many rugby matches are decided in the final 20 minutes. Well, if that's what it comes down to, the Huns have a great shot to win every match, because 9 times out of 10, they're the team in better shape.
And we saw what really good shape looks like with Glendale a couple weeks ago. I mean, they were in the Huns as good a shape as they're in. They're not as in good a shape as the Raptors are.
It's a good point.
And that was that shows that there's another level there that these teams need to be at.
Geeman, Moore skips one tackle, skips a second. Moore waiting to turn on the Jets, and there they go. Moore at the 10. Moore cuts back still. He was looking to offload it, and Moore just ran out of gas, I think.
Ran out of gas, and when Turk stood in front of him, get nice wrap tackle from the Argentinian, and brings down Moore, and makes Moore lose it in the tackle, comes forward.
And well done there from the outside center, Ernesto Turk, the native of Santiago de Estero there in northern Argentina. He and I exchanged a few words at halftime.
And I couldn't understand a word of them.
We were just saying nice things about you. You had nothing to worry about.
I need a rush in here so I can do the same to you.
Well, scrum at the halfway line to Hark. Byron Batchelor able to draw a smile from our referee, Jim Rogers, before putting it in. Batchelor out in the hands of Nunn. Nunn to Turk. Ernesto Turk going forward. Offloaded Tyrell. Back it goes. Opportunity here. Huns defense standing strong. Hark does not have a try in the match thus far. Only 3 points came from a penalty kick in the first half. The big tight head Propamato taken down shy of the try line.
Houston inside the 5-meter line, going into goal, and it's held up.
Waiting for the signal. Hark unhappy.
Hark can be unhappy, but Huns, when they made that tackle, Dion Menard was smart enough to roll underneath the Hark player, making sure he could not get the grounding made. But penalty advantage was on, and Hark has the penalty here.
Menard, a heady player, is the Huns' number 8. Going straight ahead, Flowerman. Keeping it inside, looking to use some size.
Hark working that pick and jam over.
Huns defense doing a fantastic job for the time being. Can they get it back? Amato. And there it is.
Justin Amato with the try.
Loose head prop, tight head prop, and captain for Hark comes up with the first try.
You want to know something about Justin Amato?
What's this?
That you probably can't say anymore.
Uh-oh.
He's an Aggie.
Another Texas A&M Aggie there. The captain, tight head prop, Justin Amato, first try of the match for Hark.
So we talked about it earlier. Hark needing to use their big forwards to do the pick and jams, get it in close. Great work there by Amato and Hark, using the pick and jams, being patient, phase to phase to phase, maintaining possession, and then doing...
Actually, they're going to say that was a Rutherford. We apologize. It was the other prop. Thought it was the tight head. It was the loose head. Rob Rutherford credited with the try.
Okay. I thought that was Amato, too. I thought I saw the number 1 on his back.
As did I. But either way, the first try of the match for Hark, and the conversion. An opportunity here from Montano to get Hark into double digits. But still, it would be a 44-point Huns lead. Montano pushed wide left, cannot convert, and it stays 54-8 Huns.
Yeah, the wind definitely wasn't in Montano's favor on that one. So.
We'll see if that is the confidence booster that Hark needs to get their offense going. Obviously, they've got a hill to climb, trailing 54-8 here in the 14th minute of the second half. Right now, playing for pride more than anything else. Mentioned the first half, the second time these two teams have seen each other this year. Hark took the first match, but the Huns fielded a D2 side.
Yeah, their elite side was away playing Glendale, in Glendale that day.
Reyes unable to hold on to it. Hark has it. Kicked over the top by Batchelor. Hale comes up with it. Drug down immediately.
Montano catching Huns with a rare moment where they don't have enough people in the backfield. And Aaron Bone giving that ball away. Interesting there.
Hark making meters the hard way. And out into touch. Went their flanker Inman.
A little bit of a break here as Huns line up for the line out.
Well, Masters to take it over the head of Dory Bronco, but into the hands of Drummond. Geeman to Moore. Moore finds a hole, looking for help down at the halfway line. Quickly out to Geeman, spins it out. Reyes streaking forward. Bonilla. And the former St. Edward's University Hilltopper with his second try of the match.
Gio Bonilla, he had all kinds of support there, but he didn't really need it. Used it, though, to create the space with the ball, making it look like he's going for the dummy. That sold the outside wing to stay outside, and he got to step back inside with an open track to the try zone.
So Giovanni Bonilla now with 2 tries, had the opener and the most recent. And the Huns just business as usual. As Geeman lines up the conversion. Again, he's only missed one conversion kick today. It was a difficult one from the far side in the first half.
Into the wind.
Into the wind, exactly right.
And this one, he's got the wind behind him, so this should be a rather simple one for Geeman.
20-year-old native of Bernay, France.
And it's funny, we see the rest of the Huns reserves warming up, but I really don't think we're going to see them go in.
Given no trouble, right down the middle, just like he drew it up. And the conversion up and good for Timotei Geeman and the Huns.
And referee calls for water time. It's near the third quarter point on this match.
61-8, Geeman now 8 of 9 rather in his conversions today. The Huns with 9 tries. If you're just joining us, it was Bonilla with the first. Second belonged to Hale. Then the 8-man Manar with his 1. Bone had the 4th and 5th in a row. Hale the 6th. The 7th by the inside center Jody Reyes. The 8th by Hale to cap off his hat trick. And then the most recent Gio Bonilla with the 9th. That is how.
I really want to see Maui Francis get that ball and do something with it. We know he's got the wheels and the moves. I'd just like to see it happen. The ball just hasn't come out to his side all that often today.
Again, alongside Grant Cole, I'm Kit McConico. Grant, another look at the reserves. The Huns, you've got Peter Malcolm, Kyle Pedersen, Kyle Breitenbach, Brian Wellborn, Michael Reed, Martin Knetza, and Chris Nelson. They're warming up, but we'll see if they...
Well, we know one of them's gone in because Drummond's come off, so it looks like Pedersen. Yep. Pedersen is in.
Mason Pedersen, the youngster, the prop from Long Beach, California, former on-back man.
I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be 60 minutes into a match at loosehead prop and look up to see Mason Pedersen across from me fresh. That's a bad rest of the day.
Yeah, my apologies, a former Belmont man, the Long Beach Wilson High product, 20 years young, 6 foot, 230 pounds for the California native. Man, he's been an impressive addition.
And Kankles is off now, and it looks like who's on for him? I don't see who's on for him.
So Spencer, Drummond, 2 of those front row players coming off. The only starter left out there is the captain Fitzgerald.
Oh, that's Welburn to come on for Kankles.
None. Out to Torque. The Argentine. Brought down by Francis. Picked up Heller. Smart move right there. It wasn't a ruck, and he took it away.
He saw no ruck formed, and the ball was out of it already if there was a ruck formed, so it was open play.
Yeah, good heads-up play there from Andrew Heller, another former St. Edward's University man. Reyes, Moore. Bonilla skips inside over the halfway line. Heller on to Breitenbach. Breitenbach on as well, the South African. Cal Breitenbach offloads. Pedersen. Pedersen over to Wellborn. Wellborn cuts back through, and he has the try. So some fresh legs on for the Huns in the form of Wellborn, Pedersen, and Breitenbach, and you saw them all right there at the end of the try.
That's almost unfair. Good stuff from Breitenbach there, making the gain line, looking around. He sold the fullback on him, had Pedersen and Wellborn in support, close support, and put it away just how you plan it in practice.
Kyle Breitenbach, the 23-year-old, another South African. And you saw the try there from Brian Wellborn. He and his twin brother Craig, both members of this side, both play lock. Wellborn, the 34-year-olds, native Austinites and former Westlake Chaparrals.
And if you've watched a little HGTV, you've seen them on the house flipping contest.
Well put, and you're exactly right. You've coined him Bob the Builder, the nickname you've given.
Yeah, and his brother being Tim the Tool Time Taylor. So.
Lomani Money Tongo Tongo still the best nickname of all the Huns.
Yes.
And Knetza out there as well. And the Huns firmly in control just over halfway through the final 40 minutes and 66-8. Austin on top of Houston.
And if we're going to name Knetza anything, it's going to be a GNU. Because when he runs like a mad GNU.
Knetza, another South African native of Pretoria, grew up in San Diego, California. Certainly, you might imagine the South African flair to this Huns side, or their coaching staff coming over. Eugene Eloff, the former Springboks U19 coach, coached guys like Brian Habana, Bismarck de Plessis, some of the best ever to lace them up. Momsen unable to secure it, but Peterson finds himself with it. The big boy rumbling over the halfway line, drops it off to Menard. Menard, head up. Looking for Bone. Bone collided. Maybe miscommunication there between Peterson and Bone. Both thought the pass was meant for them and picked up by Hark. Grubber down the far side. All the way back. Knetza. Knetza.
Steps in the touch there.
Nice.
Just enough tackle from Batchelor to put Knetza in the touch. And Knetza definitely was a little bit rude to him on the contact. Like I said, the mad GNU.
Credit Byron Batchelor, the scrum half of Hark. He's had a very good game. And that time going up against a much larger Manny Knetza, able to send him into touch. The line out stolen away over to Hark. None. Oh, couldn't control it. Loose hands there and right into the hands of Reyes. Reyes finds an opening past Montano. And the try.
And I'm here to
for Jody Reyes.
I'm here to tell you, if Enrique Montano's old coach, Petey Hepburn, ever sees that play right there, Enrique is going to have something to answer for when he gets back to Cypress, Texas.
Reyes now with 2 tries for the Huns inside center. Their 10th try of the match.
Yeah, Montano definitely should have had that tackle on Reyes. Reyes slipped through on him, and he was in easy for the try.
Knetza will attempt the conversion. Taking over for Guillemot, the Frenchman, who just missed 1 conversion. Difficult angle and wind in his face. Knetza pushes it wide left. So it stays 71-8. Huns on top of Hark.
So Knetza definitely has a boot like a mad GNU too, right? Just making a mess of it with that hoof.
I'll let you and Martin address that post-match. That's on you. As a former front row man, you can get away with that. I cannot.
I don't know, man. Knetza's a big old boy. He could play front row any day.
And Knetza listed at 6'2", 230.
Oh, that's
Moves
generous.
Very well.
That's generous, 230.
I read the stats that I am giving. That's all I'm going to say.
His thighs alone weigh 230.
Menard taken nicely when airborne, is able to secure it. Bone outside. Fitzgerald. Bone back the other way. Heller over the top. Looking for the offload, and out into touch goes the errant pass.
Yeah, one thing Pedersen doesn't need to do is those no-look passes. He's not a back. He definitely is a forward. When it comes to that, he needs to know where he's passing to and just kind of gently put it in the space. If he would have just gently put it in the space, he had enough players there running onto it. They probably could have had a score there.
The result will be a line out to Hark. Flowerman comes over to take it. Right at the 10-meter. Knocked away. Good work there. Got a hand to it. Johnny Ray. And again finds itself in touch, and now the scrum will be to the Huns. And Pedersen comes over to take it for Austin. Excuse me, Malcolm rather. Two of them looks similar. Both have the same hair, the same beard. A few pounds maybe separating Peter Malcolm and Mason Pedersen. Taken long, secured nicely by Momsen. Heller to Moore. Moore able to hold on to it. Moore around Turk. Moore turns on the Jets. Moore going for the try line. And he's got it.
And Fearing wasn't going to stop. Or who was that? That was Henri Saint-Aline was not going to stop H.P. Moore going that fast.
Asking if Moore indeed was able to apply downward pressure before he lost control. It's ruled that he was, and Moore comes up with, amazingly enough, his first try of the match.
And I think H.P. Moore's been looking for that try all game.
He's had opportunities. He's been very unselfish. If the opportunity to offload it has been there, he's found a teammate. But that time, no one was there. It was a foot race, and Moore, even though he goes 235 plus, shows off his wheels with the try.
Definitely has a motor. He's been at a lot of the breakdowns today. In fact, I'd say he's been at the majority of the breakdowns. He likes to secure ball, likes to secure possession. He knows that's the hard work, and he gets that done well. But every once in a while, you got to be rewarded, and he definitely got the nod there.
Knetza unable to convert, pushed it left, and now Martin Knetza 0 of 2 in conversions since taking over for Timothy Guillemot. Well, at this point, it's pretty much academic as the score is 76-8 for the Huns, but knowing their coaching staff, especially Laffey, he doesn't want any mistakes, any points left.
One of the things I think are interesting here is Laffey has changed up some combinations in the backfield and definitely trying out some things to see how they work. So Heller looks like he's moved up into the fly half position with Guillemot coming off and Knetza going back to fullback. And definitely need to have Heller having some good minutes in at fly half in order to go forward.
Montano will send it back. We mentioned the Huns securing their national playoff berth. Looks like they will take on Ombak, a team they've already faced and beat earlier this year. A last-second try got them the victory here at Huns Field.
Yeah, well, that's a guess right now. I'm not real sure if that's how it's going to pan out, but that is how it looks at the moment.
That'll be the second meeting of the year between those two. How do you see that one? First, Breitenbach. Breitenbach, big boy, shows off his moves. Alberta Pedersen.
Well, I got to agree with...
Excuse me, Malcolm. And again, my mistake, making that mistake for the second time. Give credit where credit is due. And this time, it's Peter Malcolm. His first try of the match.
There you go, Pete!
Got to give Enrique Montano the nod for making the chase all the way in. But Malcolm there, in support, at pace. That's how you want to take the ball as a hooker coming down the touchline. Strong work by Malcolm there. You know, was saying, you know, we've got some shout-outs coming to us from all around Twitter and Facebook. And Brandon Ellison, who used to be the club manager at St. Edward's University, has thanked us for some of our pleasant commentary today, and he actually is a guy who clued us into Bonilla as being a former Hilltopper. So, Brandon, I hear you out here, and thanks for your word. And, hey, yeah, he says Heller was a fly half and a wing in college. Didn't play fullback until he got to the Huns.
Knetza drawing the cheers of his teammates as he is able to get the conversion through and pushes it to an 83-8 game. You know what the St. Edward's University motto is, don't you?
Siegbach.
Fear the goat.
Fear the goat. Fear the goat.
If you lived in Austin, you'd know these things. It's all about fearing the goat.
Yeah. Well, I could tell you some rugby stories about goats in Sam Houston State University.
I don't know if any of those are television appropriate. You may have to wait for the post-match and those. Your post-match podcast hosted by Grant Cole. Less than 10 minutes remaining in this one. The Huns, well, they started quickly. They led 40-3 at half, and they've continued the onslaught here into the second half. 11 tries, H.P. Moore with the last. Justin Hale has the hat trick. Bone with 2 of his own, as does Jody Reyes and Gio Bonilla. This is the kind of match the Huns wanted before going into the playoffs, something to give them some confidence, keep the confidence, I should say, after their big victory last week. They're able to take down their inner-city rivals, the Austin Blacks, 31-30 over at Burr Field. Menard, the 8-man, had the final try, and then the conversion from Guillemot enough to give them the 1-point win.
And if you saw any of the footage of that, you know that that was a tense minute there.
That was a hard-fought match.
Oh, yeah. Great stuff. Batchelor there tries to get a grubber coming back to the inside, but it goes straight out on the full. And Malcolm's going to get another chance to throw it into his favorite person, Momsen.
Malcolm, the line out. Momsen off his hand, couldn't control it, and into the hands of Flowerman. Flowerman on his feet. Now he's looking to offload it back to Irwin. Irwin, the 5-lock, couldn't get it. Now Breitenbach has it for the Huns.
Irwin knocks it on right into the Huns' hands.
Panama, Mike Maxwell, the head coach of Hark, giving us a look, saying, is it the 80th minute yet?
He's definitely wanting to be that. And looks like Hark has a little bit of a blood bend to do here with Brett Faring.
Faring, the fullback, a cut over his right eye. As that kick finds itself out, and it'll be another line out for Malcolm and the Huns.
Well, glad it didn't get any hotter out here.
Oh, it stayed at a very balmy 90 degrees
yeah.
and 60% humidity.
Feel like I should be putting up barbed wire fence today.
Breitenbach takes it. Now Moore. Moore already has a try, looking for, well, another.
Moore telling Thomas Cuff, hey, how you doing?
Breitenbach outside, in and out of the hands of Malcolm.
Dangerous tackle, though, comes back on Cuff. And Huns are going to get a kick to touch.
Jim Rogers, our referee, has done a very good job today, keeping everything on the up and up. Knetza sends it out of play and into touch.
Knetza was was a receptor and try scorer on one of the most beautiful kick ahead tries I've ever seen, when Will McGee popped it over the head of the defense and caught Knetza in the air right at the end goal line.
Taken nicely by Breitenbach. And Knetza, you talk about versatile players. There are numerous positions you can put him on the field.
Oh yeah. Little miscommunication by the Huns there results in a turnover to Hark.
Ernesto Turek over the 10-meter. Ernesto Turek bowling ahead. Now Spencer Wheat, the 45-year young lock. And I must get this in. I promised Spencer I would. I asked him, how did you start playing rugby? He said, 7 years ago, my wife left me for a rugby player, so I figured maybe I should start playing rugby, and that's how he got into this wonderful game.
Excellent.
True story, according to Spencer.
Up next is Huns D2 versus Richmond Football Club from England, the second oldest club in the world. They were formed in 1861. Richmond's out there warming up right now. It's a mixed bag of that team. They're first through fourth grade players. So still going to be some good rugby. I watched their match from Dark last week, and they've got some definitely got some handling skills and some evasive running skills that are going to be a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, their second and final match in this Texas tour at the end of their grueling 10-month season. They took down Dallas Athletics 65-5 last weekend. They've enjoyed their time in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
They had an AT&T Stadium tour up there in Dallas. They went to the JFK Museum. They've been to a gun range.
Went to the rodeo in Fort Worth.
They've been to the rodeo, and they've been out, is what I can tell from social media, every single night enjoying the Lone Star State, as well they should.
They were at Zilker Park the other day practicing, if I saw correctly. Watching them practice, it looked like Zilker. I've played enough rugby there, I think.
They were talking to one of their front rowers, an interview he did, and he said, I love the fact that everything is bigger in Texas, especially the portions. Heller, Breitenbach, Find some space. Maui Francis cuts underneath. Oh, what a move from Maui. Maui able to get by Montano and eventually taken down. Now Breitenbach, the big lock, headed the other way.
Side entry by Flowerman there, and he knows it. He knows it too.
We talked about the versatility of Knetza. Breitenbach, for his size, he can move.
Well, and Breitenbach, like he said, he started out at the midfield, and then he just got too big.
And he said, I started when I was 5. I was in the midfield, and I continued to grow, so they had to move me. Malcolm, Knetza. Knetza, a step around his defender, and Knetza will simply dot it down for the try. That'll be his first in the match, and the Huns 11th. See if they can get into triple digits with just a few minutes left in this one, and now an 80-point lead.
So Penguin Tundra Sports is asking me, is a Richmond match not the elite match? And so no, Penguin, it's not. And the reason being is this match here is a must-win for the Huns to win the Red River D1. They have done that. They couldn't take a chance on losing or even having a close loss on this one, because if the Reds beat the Blacks today, then it put the Reds in first place and means that the Huns would probably have to play Gate first, and they definitely would rather play Ombak than Gate first. They already know what Ombak's going to do, and they would rather be able to get a look at Gate on the first day and then beat them on the second day.
And Grant, on the Richmond side, they brought 39 players, but only 6, I believe, from their first side. It is a mix of first, second, and fourth squad for the side from London.
That's correct.
Knetza, the conversion.
It's not good.
Pushes it wide left again, so now Knetza just 1 of 4 in conversion kicks.
And bounced back into the playing enclosure by the Ford Explorer.
Fans enjoying themselves. Hey, they're getting ready for this Richmond exhibition match. You mentioned the great history there, over 150 years, one of the biggest teams in England. They have over 2,700 members playing there in the Green King IPA Championship. They've won 6 Surrey Cups, and their under-21 team, the students, well, they won the U21 Surrey Cup this year. Congratulations to them.
So big things happening in Richmond. They're definitely staying true to their oldest club, and the reason why they are that successful over the years is because they're playing very good rugby. So talking about the Blacks-Reds game, just got a message in. It's near the half, and Blacks are up 19-0.
Is that a surprise to you? I know you anticipated that to be a pretty close match.
Blacks definitely know that in order to win, they've got to come out fast and hard and score often, because the Reds will take it down the stretch on them, and they've definitely got to they definitely got to make sure that they put a whole lot of scores on early if they're going to use their defense to keep the Reds from getting ahead.
Well, that's exactly what happened here. The Huns put a whole lot of scores on early on Hark, 40-3 at half. Hark able to come up with a try here, courtesy of the outside center, Ernesto Turk. Montano missed the conversion, and that is the only points of the game for Hark.
Jim Rogers telling Justin Amato, hey, man, we're almost over with this match. Mind your discipline. Let's just keep it clean. And
Heller, Knetza, ball batted away, but right into the arms of Breitenbach. Breitenbach. Wellborn around Montano, and Wellborn dives in for the try.
That should be the final try of the match by Wellborn. There, and man, he definitely put the giraffe legs on once he got that ball in hand, didn't he?
Another one of those tall 6'4" speedsters. Wellborn, 34 years old, but he can move. You saw it right there. For a second, he was neck and neck with Montano, and he said, yeah, here's my 6th gear.
Well, he was on the Huns Sevens team that went to nationals last year, and definitely was a strong aerialist and grinder for them. Plus, he's got a little bit of speed on the outside if you get it. He doesn't have a lot of long-term speed, like he can't put it out over 50 meters, but you give him 30-40 meters worth of space to get to cover, and he can cover that pretty fast.
Wind really kicking up for Knetza, and his conversion